Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Bhagavad-gita, chapter 2, text 44. I'll share the screen and we can read it. Okay. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya paharta chetasam vivasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. Translation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says, Samyak adhiyate smin tat atma tattva yathatmayam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishta Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vikas Samitinam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swam Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyani Paschat Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chapter 2, text 44. There's a key word here. One is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, which came in the last lecture also on 240, or is it 41? And another is Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam. Bhoga, that is sense enjoyment. The living entity by nature is liberated. He can go anywhere in creation. He can go to the spiritual planets, to different universes and different planets. And there are some who do that. But that is when he is liberated, Nitya Mukta. Otherwise, the conditioned soul is known as Nitya Baddha. He is tied up by material nature. Why do we say Baddha? Baddha means tied up. He's tied up to a particular body in a particular circumstance. So we say in English, he's conditioned. He's conditioned to live in a certain way. He has no choice. That is because of the guna, because of his past actions. So originally the soul is pure and he doesn't undergo this bondage. But it's because of, what is the reason? Because of desire. When his desires become material, then he becomes conditioned by Maya. Basically, when he starts to desire sense gratification, then Maya captures him. Then he's no longer free to go here and there. And why not? That is because the guna is simply fulfilling his desire. His desire is that he wants to enjoy this material world. So the guna ties him. Otherwise, he's the servant of Krishna and spiritual. So it makes him forget everything and ties him according to his desire. What did he want to enjoy? How did he want to enjoy? So in that way, he's conditioned. So when the desires become material, he's captured by Maya. Maya has no jurisdiction over pure devotees. She cannot come and bewilder anyone who is serving Krishna. They are Nitya Mukta. They cannot, Maya has no jurisdiction. Only Bhogavancha, those who desire sense gratification. The word is used in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhogavancha, those desiring sense enjoyment, become captured by Maya. So Maya ties them with guna. This word guna, there are many words, many translations. One is something like quality or mode. Another is rope. So actually, in both ways, it affects us. We are tied up, bound to this material world and the body, material bodies, and we are given certain material qualities according to the guna in the past life. So in both ways, we get affected by guna. So when the Baddha Jeev, he wants to become free from Maya, he desires, after a lot of suffering, that I want to become free from this. So then what happens is that he endeavors to become free, but it's not so easy. It's not easy because for so many lifetimes, the jiva has associated with Maya. So the knot of material nature is very tight. It's very tightly tying him down. So it may be difficult at first due to his sense gratification, desire, and association with Maya for so long. Just like if someone has some bad habit and he wants to give it up, it's not so easy. He desires to get free, then he becomes free, then again goes back to it, like smoking or something. And then he gives up, and then he should not go somewhere where people are smoking, or he gets attracted again. So in that way, he has to be careful. And that desire is so much deeply rooted that to give it up is not so easy. So in that way, to give up sense gratification and association with Maya is not so easy. So how do we become free then from this material nature? So this all depends on the intensity of the desire of the jiva. What is his deep desire? Does he want to come out? How much does he desire it? There's a story of one guru. Once his disciple came to him and he said that I'm chanting 16 rounds, I'm following 4 regulative principles, I'm reading books, but I'm not advancing. Why is this? So the guru took him to the river, and the guru was a little bigger than him. So the guru put his head underwater, almost to the point of drowning. Then he removed his head at the last second. So he asked him, what were you thinking? And the disciple answered that I must breathe. That's all I was thinking. Then Guru asked him, were you thinking anything else? No, I was thinking that I must breathe. I must endeavor to breathe. And then Guru said, anything else you were thinking? He said, no, nothing else. I wanted to stay alive. I was thinking how I'm going to breathe. So then the Guru said, when you desire to be Krishna conscious that much, with no other desire, so keen, then you'll attain Krishna consciousness. That desire has to come, that deep desire. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Okay, so as we said that, we desire sense gratification. So it's not so easy. It depends on intensity of desire to come out of this sense gratification. Okay, now the previous verse, if we look at it, it says that, look at it. It says there are two verses together. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashtitaha vedavadarata partha nanyat asiti vadinaha kamatmanah swargapara janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwarya gatim prati. Okay, now Krishna is saying in the previous verse that men of small knowledge are attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there is nothing more than this. These are called karma kandis. They simply use the Vedas to elevate and get a higher material position, which is possible. Actually, majority of the Veda is like that. That's what it teaches, majority of it. How to enjoy sense gratification and go to a higher state of happiness, material happiness. Okay, so now, based on that previous verse, for one who is attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, it says, Krishna saying, those people, they cannot practice bhakti. Karma kandis, if they become too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and they become bewildered by it, then it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to do bhakti. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya aparta chetasam. They cannot develop vyavasayatmika buddhi. Okay, remember that word from the previous class, vyavasayatmika buddhi. Okay, that says that the meaning is given in this verse. Here it's given fixed in determination. So those who are trying to enjoy in this material world and who are bewildered by sense gratification and opulence. So it says that for them, they cannot be fixed in determination. They cannot be determined in bhakti. It's important to be fixed in determination in bhakti. As we are in Devi Dham, Maya Dham, this is the place of Maya. So if we are not fixed in bhakti, then we'll easily be carried away by the waves of the material world, which are very powerful. And they're powerful because it's the energy of Krishna and it cannot be overcome on its own. Krishna says, Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. The material energy, Guna, is Gunamayi. It's one of my energies. Devi, transcendental. It's one of my energies. Mama Maya Duratyaya. It's difficult to overcome. It cannot be overcome so easily. So if we want to practice, we have to be really fixed. We have to develop this vyavasayatmika buddhi, that intelligence which is fixed, that this is what I want. This is the goal I want. Okay. When we are fixed, then we are not so easily attracted. Because if we understood properly what is Krishna consciousness, what is the process of bhakti, then we are not going to be bewildered by other things. For that, we have to understand. We really have to understand. Okay, so it says that samadho na vidyate. We cannot come to the point of samadhi. What is samadhi? It says here samadho na vidyate. Samadho, controlled mind, never vidyate, takes place. So because if one is not fixed in intelligence to follow bhakti, he cannot with samadho, he cannot have a controlled mind. He'll be attracted. Now, what is this word samadhi? Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Samadhi means fixed mind, he says. He means intelligence. Sama means something like balanced, controlled. Okay, so he gives a Vedic dictionary definition. There's a Vedic dictionary, Nirukti, and that says samyak adhiyatesmin atma-tattva yathatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi means the mind, dhi, is sama, control, sama. Adhiyate asmin atma-tattvam. When the mind is fixed in self-realization, then it is said to be controlled. This is not easy. It's not easy. Many people are in ISKCON for many years. And to get that state, it takes a lot of realization. We are all Karma Mishra Bhaktas. Karma Mishra means that we are still attracted to material things, but we are trying to be purified. Okay. The purpose, okay. Now, the question now is, how can we become fixed? How can we become Vyavasyatmika Buddhi so that we become in Samadhi, that we can be in this world with our mind fixed on Krishna and Bhakti? How can we do that? Okay, this is an important question, and the same question is asked in the Srimad Bhagavatam so many times to different people, different self-realized personalities, and to Krishna by Uddhav, and of course Bhagavad-gita. So this question is asked again and again. How can we become fixed in devotional service? All right. Now, the whole purpose of the Vedic culture, and Vedic knowledge is to take us to that platform. Why was it manifested on this earth? To take us out of this material world. There's a lot of material knowledge. Why is it there? And why are the Karma Kand portion there? In the previous two verses, it says that Yamim Pushpatam Vacham, those who are attracted to the flowery words, the Karma Kandis, they use the Vedas to elevate materially and get material happiness. Why is it there? So that all the Baddha Jeev, the conditioned souls, can take up can refer to the Vedas And when they use the Vedas for personal enjoyment, gradually they begin to understand that there's other higher things, and that gradually guides them to self-realization, the highest part of the Vedas. Okay, so the purpose of Vedic literature is to liberate us from material bondage. Therefore, we need to read and follow Vedic culture. There is no way to get free on our own. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Maya Mukta Jeev Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan Jivera Kripa Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. The Jiva which is affected by Maya, on his own, Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan, cannot get knowledge of self-realization of God on his own. Jivera Kripa Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. So Krishna gave the Vedas and Puranas. We have to read this. We have to read these Shastras and become purified. Vedas are known as Shabda Brahma. Shabda means sound. Brahma means spiritual. It is a spiritual sound vibration. Okay, so it is used for self-realization. The words of the Vedas are transcendental. This is mentioned in the Upanishads, that when the material world was created, the universes came out of the pores of Mahavishnu. Then it says that Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitam Etad Yad Rigvedo Tharva Veda Yajurveda Sama Veda. Oh, it's something like that. I forgot the order of the Veda. The Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitam Etad Yad Rigvedo Yajurveda Sama Veda Atharvangi Rasa. So there it says that the Vedas emanating from Mahato Bhutasya, from the great Mahata personality, that is Mahavishnu. So because they emanated from Mahavishnu, they are transcendental. If someone bases his life on the Shastra, he'll get liberation, he'll get purified. This is mentioned now in the Shabda, Shabda Brahma in the Vedas itself. Okay, so we should study the edicts of Vishnu, which are in the Vedas, and follow it, read it and follow it. This will guide us to self-realization. Otherwise, we are in the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so how are we going to do that? How do we study edicts of Vishnu and follow? Okay, so we should, here, by taking guidance of a fully practicing devotee. We cannot read the Vedas on our own. Some people say, no, I want to read this Veda, this Upanishad. That's not possible, because the system of revelation of Vedic knowledge is through the Guru, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. It is the Guru who reveals the knowledge. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jate. This is a Guru Vandana song which is glorifying the Guru. Now it says there that Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jate, that we get Prema Bhakti and our ignorance is destroyed through the Guru. So you might say, no, but I have the Veda, I'm going to read it and get purified. Yes, but Krishna says in Gita that he said that Sarvasya Aham Hridi Sarvishto Matasmiti Jnana Pohanamshi. I give knowledge in the heart. When what we call intelligence and understanding, that is Paramatma revealing the knowledge. He will not reveal the knowledge if we don't follow what he said. So we have to take shelter of a devotee. Naishamati Stavad Urukramangrin. Prahlad Maharaj says that Naishamati Stavad Urukramangrin. We cannot get Stavad Urukramangrin. Mati means consciousness. We cannot get consciousness of you, Narsingha. Naishamati Tavad Urukramangrin. Sparashyat Yad Anartha Bhagamo Yadartha. Many verses saying that without the Guru's mercy, we cannot get Ved Gyan. So we have to read the Vedas under guidance of a Guru. Okay, so some of you might say, now we have Prabhupada books, we don't have a Guru. How will we be purified? Srila Prabhupada is our Shiksha Guru initially. Eventually we have to take Diksha and get a representative of Prabhupada who will deliver Prabhupada's message, because we require to take Diksha, okay, from a living Guru person, present, physically present, to guide us. Okay, so this is important, that if we are saying that we should read Ved Gyan, but how will we read it? We are not going to just open and read. We have to take guidance of a Guru, and the understanding and the commentary will come from the Guru. Okay, so how can we read the Vedas in this age? Because we are so dull. We can't understand topics. They are very important principles in the Upanishads and Vedas, which made it very difficult to understand. And so one had to be in Sattva Gun and practicing a pure life, whole life, such that when he opens the book to read, he's already purified and can read it. But if one is not sattvic, he'll not be able to understand the philosophy. So how are we going to do it? Therefore, Krishna spoke Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains the essence of Vedic knowledge. There is nothing else required. If we simply master Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says this many times, and I want to start posting on the group quotes on this, that if we simply read Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll understand the essence of Vedic knowledge, because this is the essence, according to the Acharyas. Shankaracharya, Srila Prabhupada, everyone mentioned that Bhagavad-gita has complete knowledge. In fact, some people want to read Upanishads. Bhagavad-gita is an Upanishad. Although it comes in Mahabharata, if you look at the verse styles and the language, it is accepted as an Upanishad. Therefore, another name of Bhagavad-gita is Gita Upanishad. So Bhagavad-gita can reveal whatever we need. It is enough. Krishna says in chapter 7, text 2, that Jnanam teham savigyanam idam vakshami asheshataha yad gyatva neha bhuyo niyat gyatavyam avasheshyati. Chapter 7, text 2, Krishna says, now I reveal to you knowledge, spiritual and material. And this being revealed, nothing further remains to be revealed to you. It is perfect. Bhagavad-gita has all the knowledge. Okay, now so then why do we read Srimad Bhagavatam? Because although Bhagavad-gita has perfect knowledge, again, we are not on the level to fully comprehend it, just like Arjuna did within 1.5 hours. Okay, so we read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an expansion of Bhagavad-gita. The preliminary study of transcendence is in Bhagavad-gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the you can say postgraduate study. Then higher than that is Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is based on Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guidance. But initially, Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam, we have to study that, and we will understand, then purify our consciousness and make it fixed in Krishna consciousness. Why are we not fixed in Krishna consciousness? It's because we think that I'll be happy in this and that way, in so many other ways. But if we read these books, Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then we'll get to understand who we are, what we are doing here, and how we are trapped, and what is the path to happiness. So we will not even consider any other way of being happy. We'll not consider it. So for that, we have to get to realize knowledge. And how will we realize the knowledge? Through reading these books. Okay, so by reading and studying, our polluted desires get changed. Now, we are meant to desire Krishna. Okay, but we are not desiring Krishna. We have other desires. So this is a problem. So how can we awaken desire for Krishna? This is given in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. There's a verse, it says that Pibatam Bhagavatam ye Vishaya Vidushita Shaya Katamritam Shravana Puteshu Samhritam Punati te Vishaya Vidushita Shaya Vrajanti Tat Saroruhantikam. It says that drink Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, we can say it's Srimad Bhagavatam, but Bhagavatam is also Bhagavad-gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, because they are both knowledge in relation to Bhagavan, Krishna, Bhagavat. Okay, so but this comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, that it says that Pibatam ye Bhagavatam Atmana Satam. Drink this Srimad Bhagavatam, Atmana Satam, the scripture of those who are pure-hearted. Okay, pure-hearted means, now one might say, but I'm not pure. But Acharyas explain us, even those who want to be pure, that is also called purity. Those who say, now I want to become pure, that is a pure desire. So you can read. Pibatam ye bhagavata atmana satam kathamritam samhritam kathamritam samhritam punati ye vishaya vidushitashaya. So kathamritam means it is amrit, katha in form of amrit. Amrit means nectar. Death causes deathlessness. Kathamritam samhritam ye vishaya vidushita ashaya. So then it says that punatiye vishaya vidushita ashaya. It purifies the illicit desires of the living entity. The living entity is supposed to desire to serve Krishna in his pure form, but he's not having that desire. Okay, so Punatite vishaya vidushitashaya. Punati means purified. Pavitra. It purifies vishaya vidushit ashaya. Ashaya means desire. Dushit means contaminated or polluted desires are purified by Srimad Bhagavatam. Vrajanti tat saroruhantikam. Vrajanti means it takes you to saroruhantikam, to the lotus feet of Krishna. Simply by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing it, we are purified again and again. And then we become purified of our desires, so we are able to fix our mind on bhakti. So Srimad Bhagavatam is so important. Srila Prabhupada emphasized hearing and reading it regularly. Okay, we have to change our desires. But it's not possible on our own, as I mentioned. We have to go through Guru and Krishna. So Guru is for us now Srila Prabhupada, but we have to then take Diksha, and then process of Diksha, then the Guru, then that's when the transcendental knowledge gets revealed. Purification happens in the beginning, but the real process of bhakti begins after Diksha. So in that way, we have to take the Guru, shelter of the Guru. Okay. So then when we read Shastra in ISKCON, we are reading the purports and translation of Srila Prabhupada, and he's guiding us. Okay. Then later, a follower of Srila Prabhupada can elaborate if someone is not, one who's fully following Prabhupada can elaborate on the message. Okay. This is the system. Okay. As I mentioned, not that we read on our own something which is not guided by Guru. Not only this Guru, Sri Sampradaya, there's Ramanuja, that is bona fide. One can hear that. Then you have Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. Vallabhacharya wrote commentaries, Sridhar Swami, so many. It's not that this is the only one, but it should be a bona fide Vaishnava commentary. Then it can help us. Otherwise, it's not possible. Okay. So again, to summarize, to be fixed in determination to practice bhakti, vyavasayatmika buddhi, we need to be in a state of samadhi. That means our mind should be controlled and not diverted by material things. Okay, that's very easy to say, but who is on that level? But the method is given. Okay, we need to be in the state, and this cannot happen if we are bewildered by bhogaishwarya and tayapaharta chetasam. If bhoga means sense enjoyment, bhoga aishwarya means opulence. If we become too much enamored by sense enjoyment and opulence, wealth, good house, beautiful wife and all these things, if we become too much attracted by these things, then Krishna says, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam tayaparita chetasam. Aparita means bewildered, and prasaktana means attracted by. If you become attracted or bewildered by these things, then it's going to be difficult. So these things have to be eliminated because it is under guna, maya. Okay. So for us to overcome that, we should study the Shastra, principally in this age, Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, this is the main thing to study in this age of Kali. We cannot read Upanishads and Veda. It's very difficult, and we get the wrong understanding because plus we are supposed to get Divya Gyan through the agency of a Guru, as Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam so many times. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashanena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnanina tattva darshina. That is in chapter 4, text 34. Many places Krishna says, through the Guru we'll get Gyan. Okay, so now Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, read through the agency of the Guru, will give us that perfection. So to overcome the Bhog and Aishwarya, we need to seriously study Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The intensity of our bhakti will develop when we get when we are purified of guna, okay? And that happens by getting deeper realization of Krishna consciousness. Okay, the intensity of bhakti increases when the guna is submerged. It's, what's that word? It is subdued. Okay, when guna is subdued, then one is able to fix their mind more on bhakti. Okay, and how do you do that? That is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, but not only reading, you have to practice bhakti. Of course, because I said you read Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavatam, and it says to practice bhakti. So we practice bhakti, but to become fixed in bhakti, then it's important to read these shastras. Okay, and there's actually a section in Srimad Bhagavatam explaining how we get purified. Okay, it's a long 5 verses. You can find it in chapter 7, text 1 in the purport. So I just pick 1 or 2 of them. Okay, so it says that by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I mean, there are many other stages, but I'll come to Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava, Kama Loba Dayas Chaye, Chetir Etir Anavidham, Stitvam Sattve Prasidati. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava, then Rajagun and Tamogun, this is the problem. Chetir Etir Anavidham is destroyed from our consciousness. Chetir Etir Anavidham, Stitvam Sattve Prasidati. And we become situated in Sattva Gun and Prasidati. We become happy because we are free from Guna. So material desires are not there. When we have material desires, then we want to fulfill so many things, so we are very disturbed. But when we don't have material desires, then we are happy. There's nothing to fulfill. I'm already happy. So as soon as Rajagun, Tamagun go, one becomes happy. Okay? Chetir etir anavidam stitam sattve prasidati. Then it says, Evam prasana manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. That such a person then becomes happy, Evam prasana manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha. And he attains bhakti. Bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Chetere tera vidham stitvam. What is that? Evam prasana manaso Bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Let me just check that. Evam prasana manaso Bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Bhagavad bhakti, then we get bhakti. Okay. Bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Now, when evam prasana manaso Bhagavad bhakti yogataha, we become happy because there is no guna, lower modes. And then we get bhakti. Bhagavad bhakti manifests, yogataha. Then Bhagavad tattva vijnanam. One attains knowledge of the science of God. Bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate, and that liberates him. Knowledge of God. Okay, finally, vidyate hirdya grantis chidyante sarva samkshayaha kriyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishware. It says that then that knot is broken. What knot are we talking about? We said in the beginning that Baddha Jeev is tied to this material body and material world. That knot is broken. Okay, there's a series of progressions, and the final thing is that finally this knot is broken in the heart, the material knot. Okay, so how does that happen? By hearing Srimad Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavatam, of course, and doing bhakti, because hearing means it says to do bhakti, we do bhakti. But our intensity, our desire to become pure and overcome so many material desires will come to the degree that we hear and read Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, it's so important, Srila Prabhupada said many times. Okay. If we do not try to elevate ourselves, then what happens? Okay, so there Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, okay. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, okay, what happens if we don't practice and do this procedure? He says that samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and who are bewildered by such temporary things. There are people like that, they cannot take up bhakti. Okay, then Prabhupada says they are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. Very scary. So, but we have a choice, we have free will, okay, to take it up. All right. So, and if not, then Prabhupada says that they are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. It will degrade you to lower and lower life forms. Okay, that is given in chapter 16 in the last third or fourth verse. That what happens to those who do not surrender to me. Krishna says, Tamahan Dishata Puran Samsareshu Naradhama. I put them in lower and lower Naradhama, and demonic species of men who live in the jungle, who have no regulation, like that. Okay, so we are very fortunate now in this age because the process of bhakti has been simplified so much.
in previous ages, there was so much to go through, and we will not be qualified. But because we took birth now in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, even if we are not qualified, Mahaprabhu elevates us. You know, we are not qualified to take Diksha. We are not qualified to touch Bhagavad-gita, forget about reading, you know, speaking for myself. So who are we? How can we, you know, take all these things up? But because of Mahaprabhu's mercy, Katanchana Smritim Yasmin Dushkaram Sukram Bhaveti, Vrismritim Viparitya Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. I offer obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By remembering who, a difficult thing becomes easy. And by forgetting, an easy thing becomes difficult. So just taking shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let us read these Shastras, which are commented on by his disciplic succession. It's not difficult. Many lifetimes we have spent in material sense gratification. Now we simply have to chant Hare Krishna, 16 rounds, read Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, do service, follow 4 regulative principles, associate with devotees. Chant the Mahamantra, I think I said that. Okay. And if you want to do a fast forward self-realization, then you engage in propagating the Sankirtan movement. That is the secret for advancing. If you want to, just like we see that those who do book distribution and those who are engaged in preaching, so somehow or other they become spiritually powerful because Krishna protects them, gives them special protection since they're propagating the movement. So do take up the propagation in what way you can. Distribute books. You tell some close friend, family member, or some have the potency to liberate a city or a street or one person, whatever you can do, you do it. And that is a shortcut to realizing. Okay. So we will get perfection by mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, it's a very good opportunity. Let us do it. Okay, now in this to conclude, then the verse says that Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanantaya Pritachetasam, that one who becomes bewildered by material opulence and sense gratification and attracted to that, so he cannot he cannot come to that platform. So let's give up that. Let's come higher than these material desires. How? Daily read Srimad Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam, understand the message given therein. And if you simply chant Hare Krishna and read it and associate with devotees, gradually it will be revealed. Okay, so that is a conclusion. Okay, so Hare Krishna. Okay, now if you have any question, you can ask. I open this. Okay, I see one question. Let me first. Okay, one question I see here. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What are the practical symptoms by which one can understand if he is progressing in bhakti? A very simple thing. Two things once Prabhupada said in a lecture. One, he said very clearly that sex desire reduces. And generally, material sense gratification, desire goes down. That we can see when we leave the house and walk around and we have so many other desires. So when that reduces, we can understand we are advancing. Okay. So that is in brief. Okay, but then if you read Nectar of Devotion, it explains there, you know, in more detail. You can read that. All right. It says you become fixed, then anarthas are reduced, lust, envy, anger, greed. Then nishtha, you become fixed. Then ruchi, you get a very high taste for bhakti. You can't live without it. You rush to Mangal Arati. No one has to wake you up. So that is how we can understand if we are progressing in bhakti. Next question. Prabhu, is there, okay, just when I'm answering, if it's not clear, you can interrupt. Prabhu, is there any difference between samadhi and attaining Krishna consciousness? Many words are used interchangeably. Bhakti, Krishna consciousness, samadhi, then there's sthita pragya. Yeah, difference is there, but not. Prabhupada, he equates them because samadhi actually strictly means when our mind is controlled and not running after material desires. But you cannot do that unless you're in a state of Krishna consciousness. So in that way, you can say it's the same, but then there is a difference. You see, one is called samadhi, one is Krishna consciousness. So one cannot attain Krishna consciousness without being in a state of samadhi. That samadhi, the mind is controlled and not flickering here and there. That can only happen when we are Krishna conscious. Okay. Any other question here? Okay. So, okay, so Hare Krishna, then we'll stop here. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.